Hey, it's Drew. This is No Set Path. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is director and podcast host Mike Pecci. Mike is about as real as they come. He is host of In Love with the Process, which is one of my most favorite filmmaking podcasts out there right now. He keeps it real and authentic. He's no frills, no BS. Such an entertaining guy and a wealth of knowledge. It's a great show. I highly suggest you check it out. As a director, he lives mostly in the horror genre with a bit of that 80s flair. He's written and directed short pieces like 12km and Who's There as proof of concepts that have taken the internet by storm. We talk a bit about that and how you might be able to see those. He's a longtime collaborator of cinematographer David Kruta, who's been a previous guest on the show, and he's developing features out in LA, all while having development deals at Scott Free Entertainment. Really cool stuff, lots of great things happening for him. I'm really excited to bring this conversation to you. We do get into the weeds a bit with the writer's strike and SAG-AFTRA strike, and I guess it warrants mentioning that 2023 has been weird for a lot of people in creative professions. And I guess from me to you, I'm just bringing some positivity and some good thoughts for you. As always, if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get the show, a 5-star review really helps us out. And if you're streaming on YouTube, a thumbs up or a subscribe does the same thing. I really appreciate you. I'm so excited to bring this conversation with Mike to you. And without any delay, here's Mike Pecci.
Dude, it's good to see your face, man. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, man. How are you? How's life?
Life's crazy. Since I saw you, I've had a child, which is awesome. Other than the not awesome parts, like screaming and tantrums and all that stuff.
then the repercussions.
Right. Then yeah, exactly. But no, everything's been good. I'm interested to talk about a bunch of different things, but like, I'm sure you've had conversations with people and you've probably experienced it yourself. Like, this year's been weird. Like, strike stuff aside, like take all that right off the table. Just production work in general has been really, really weird and slow.
Yeah, it's pretty tough right now. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. The economy, I think, is a big part of it. You know, there was a period of time where everybody, all these big businesses were like, we're just going to see what happens, you know? And so everything kind of slowed down with that. I don't want to sound like the old man on the mountain that's going to talk doom and gloom, but it'll be fascinating to see what the video industry becomes. And I think that a lot of the clients that as video people, we would rely on to just make money, you know, like those, bullshit, dumb little clients that will ask for like some like crappy video and they really aren't paying enough and they really don't have the attention span for it. They're going to find some internal nerd that's just going to come in and do all that stuff.
I mean, even AI aside, it's like, that's what I found, which those internal teams are like 1 or 2 people.
Those poor bastards that get hired for the internal team stuff. It's like these companies, it's now confirmed. It's like these companies are like, no, well, these people are fucking hungry and these people are broke. And wouldn't it be great if you can just rely on a salary? And then they're like, oh, cool, here's some sort of median bullshit salary that we're going to give you. But also, we expect you to do the same level of video productions, but you're on salary. So now you're fucking kicking it for, 12 hours a day. And you're just getting barely paid what a 9-to-5er would get paid in a normal position. And so I find that a lot of those dudes that end up in those situations are like within a year or 2 years just completely burnt out.
Yeah, I've turned down full-time offers in the past for exactly that reason. Actually, not even that deep of a reason. I was like, you guys have too many meetings. There's meetings about meetings. Like, this is disgusting. I'm out. I started up this show just for shits because I wanted to like pick the brains of people I want to talk to. And I have like a background in audio and I have a basement that was like finished when we bought the house. So I'm turning it into like a video podcast space behind me. And I'm getting hit up like pretty much every day because there's so many people who are like tied to the city who don't want to go to the city to do stuff like BBC, REI, like all these bigger clients. It's cool.
That's cool, man. So hold on. Yeah. So you're using your studio as a remote studio for one of the other larger networks and that you're offering that up as an option. Is that what you were saying?
I'm trying to pitch it as like a video first podcast studio. So it's like, it's going to be a 3-camera, like Blackmagic ATEM setup. And then also offering like professional services is what I'm calling it, but like it's basically remote in for people who, you know, get tapped for an interview by a bigger network and they just need a space to record that has like equipment and lighting. And it's cool. I mean, the Hudson Valley's full of people who don't want to be in the city but have like big city ties. It was this podcast called Spooked, which is part of the Snap Judgment network. It's like legit, you know, legit clients just wanting to remote in interview guests because, you know, it's cheap and they don't have to pay for travel.
My new thought process is that the content for me is so much more important as far as the interviews are concerned and the conversations are concerned for the show. At the end of the day, that's all that the love of the process is really just conversations. And sure, if I wanted to, you know, set up like a studio set with a kitchen and a couch and cook and do stuff at the same time, that'd all be fucking great. There's always that allure, right? Where you're like, okay, so the algorithm on YouTube, if you can strangle it in some way, it's a better algorithm because people, in theory, stumble across your shit on YouTube, as opposed to the audio territory where, you know, people have to find it or be told about it, or it's a lot slower growth. There just sort of hits a point where you go, hold on a second here. Am I a fucking slave to Google or YouTube or whoever the fuck owns Google or YouTube at this point? Yeah, it feels that way. It feels like I'm just a goddamn content creator that's banging out content for you because you guys need to keep eyeballs on you consistently. And I'm barely getting, I'm not going to get paid for it unless I have 1,000 subscribers all of a sudden. And I'm not going to, like, what about all the fucking views that you were getting prior to 1,000 subscribers?
Right.
You know? And
I know. It's a rabbit hole, man. It's like, yeah, I just want to make something. Like, I was slow, and that's why I started the show. And actually, I was thinking about this because obviously the name of the show is No Set Path, and I'm like, I'm 90% certain that I think something like listening to In Love with the Process and like some stuff you've said, I'm like, I'm pretty sure Pecci said this. I'm pretty sure he said the phrase no set. I was thinking about it before we hopped on this call.
I don't think I have.
Okay,
well,
fine.
I mean, I've said that there's no, maybe I have, because in some way I'm always like, I guess I've maybe said something like no set path. I feel like I'm going to be I'm going to end up being like I saw this interview with Kevin Smith the other day, and he was talking about how he started podcasts, and he was on Segura's show. He was on Your Mom's House, and he's just like, how the fuck did you guys get all this shit? And he's like, I've been doing this since the beginning, and I just have no money from this. And I feel like it's going to be the same deal with me, where like, I start talking about this stuff, and then someone else is going to be smarter about how they monetize or take advantage of some new outlet, and they're going to fucking crush it.
Well, let's get into it, because that's actually, when I first found you, and I forget how I found you. I mean, it was definitely your podcast. It was definitely In Love with the Process, but I'm not sure how that like came across my desk or whatever. But when I first found you, I'm like, oh, Mike, this guy Mike, he's a film director and he's doing a podcast. And like, obviously you're still doing directing work, but I've seen In Love with the Process become a way more prominent fixture in like your day to day. So how do you categorize yourself now? I'm just like so fascinated.
Well, here's the thing, man. Like the reality of what it is to be a director, especially currently, the reality of what it is to be a director is that you're waiting on everything. And so, you want to talk about the past 3 years, right? So we finished a script and a treatment, and we went to go out with that right before COVID, and they're like, wait until COVID's over. And so then you have to sit through that whole period of time for waiting until COVID's over, and then you get your shit together, and then we are ready to go out with a new thing that we just did, and the fucking writer strike kicks in. And so then they're like, wait until the writer strike's over. And through this whole period of the writer strike, which up until last night, in the industry, it was like, this is going to go on until August. Now that bullshit that's floating around.
Dude.
That bullshit
so
that's floating
rough.
around.
So rough. And like all the press stuff where it's basically like the studio saying, oh, we're going to let the writers bleed out until they lose their fucking houses. Like, that's insane.
Let's be
That's
clear.
insane to me.
Let's be clear.
Clarify it.
It's not the fucking it's the streamers. It's the fucking streamers. And I had a conversation with a buddy of mine. I'm not going to out him, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine the other day, and he made a great fucking point, is that these giant media streamers, the stuff that their division that is the streaming service is this tiny little fucking room on this giant other thing, which is a company that is shipping toilet paper to your front fucking porch. That's where they're making all their money. And then that streamer, that's just like their little thing going like, yeah, we'll see how this plays out.
It's their pet project.
Right. It's operating as a loss. So they don't give two fucks about any of it. And so they're just like, they're going to bully us. We're in the game. And most of these companies come from the Silicon Valley. Does everybody forget about the .com assholes and the bubbles and that whole game and who these people are? They're gonna run us into the ground. I'm sitting on a subscription for multiple streaming services that I pay every month, and I don't remember the last time I watched anything on that fucking streaming service, and the last time I watched anything that was any good on that fucking streaming service. I think people just forget that these companies, these massive companies, are taking over the planet because we empower them to do so, and so you're just seeing the results of this. And this isn't me just talking out of my ass. No. I'll advertise my show. I did a whole episode with a economist of the In Love with the Process, and he came on and he specifically talked about the laws that were passed since the 70s that allowed these giant corporations to become monopolies. The reason why we have so many reality TV shows from Europe, from the UK, is that they passed a law in the UK which gave the power and the rights to the producers that created those programs. So those producers actually maintained the rights for each of those shows, so they were able to take them across the seas and make money by selling them. You wouldn't have The Office, you wouldn't have any of these things if it wasn't for a law that was passed to protect the people that were creating those programs. And there was a period of time where it was illegal to be a creator or a producer and a distributor because you would monopolize the industry in that period of time. And now it's been done, and the general public is like, well, yay, because now, they're going to control the quality of all of my content that comes. It's like, no, they're not, dude. They're just going to leverage it. And behind the scenes, you're seeing that leverage where these giant companies are going to movie theater chains and saying, we need to have every one of these screens, and if you don't, we're going to pull everything from it. Or they're going to reviewers and saying, if you say anything shitty about what this movie is, you're never going to have first access to the actors and the people that are coming out on the next big tentpole that we're releasing.
Well, it really makes everything a little bit vanilla, because there's no real discourse because nobody wants to burn a bridge or, close a door down the road or whatever.
We've allowed these publicly traded companies that all they give a shit about is profit and revenue. That's all they give a shit about. And I'm not saying that movie studios never really gave a shit about that stuff, but we now have like these giant traded companies that are just like, fuck humans. I have to control myself because you're seeing this in other industries and it's affecting our industry right now. And the difference is that our industry is so vocal about it, and they have control of the press, so they're able to put things out in the press. But like fucking Uber and Lyft, I was invited to go in and film this guy who was creating automated cars, and so they were doing the automated car bit. Yeah, and I can't say what company it was for, but let's just say it was a company that like you might call on your phone and it shows up to your house. And I said to him, I go, so you guys just want to make all the cars automated, right? And he goes, yeah. And I go, well, what's the big holdup? He goes, humans. He goes, we can't figure out how to get computers to figure out how crazy humans drive. So what we're going to do is we're going to leverage it, get humans off the fucking road. And I go, cool. How are you paying for all this research and development? Oh, well, we've convinced all these humans to drive for us. And so like the idea that like, here's a job for you. We're going to give you work, but that work is then going to make your job extinct because all the revenue that comes in for that work is going to create automated cars.
It's that Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man. That's what it is. Yeah. It's like, it's the buy-in. And then when everybody's comfy, they're like, oh, just kidding. We're going to eat you all. I feel like I now need to spin off another show and call it something like the Curmudgeon Corner. And every week I can just have you on and we can just talk about stuff like old man style.
But fuck also, that, dude. But fuck that. This is an old man talking. This is what everybody should be talking about. This is what young people should be talking about.
I mean, I totally agree.
This is an old guy on the porch going like, hey, man, when I was a kid, things were better. No. It's got nothing to do with that. It's like a guy sitting in a place where I interview and talk to like hundreds of people that are in all these different industries, and we all talk about this stuff. And behind the scenes, everybody's like, the mics go down and they go like, fuck. And you're like, what? How come you're not verbalizing any of this stuff? How come you're not talking about any of this stuff? Because everybody's like, well, I want to make sure that, I'm okay. And I have all, it's like, dude, like they're never going, if you're playing nice, what they're going to do is exactly what they're already doing. And they're just going to continue to push it because honestly, they just don't give a fuck about us. Like we're the people that are paying for all this shit.
Yeah, man. Well, and obviously for good reason, it's something that you're super passionate about because, the whole impetus for you, at least as far as I know it, moving from the Boston area out to LA was to like really give it an honest try of, pitching and directing feature films. And and we can get into it. Like you've gotten some traction with that, but it's got to just be like a punch in the nuts to see all this stuff going on so close to what you're trying to do,
It can be, man. Like, look, I'm not going to whine about it. I'm not going to be someone that's like, hey, like I thought it was going to be great. You just don't know. And I also don't know where it's going to go. And there's so much great stuff that we're working on right now that we're very excited about. And I understand how this business works, and I understand that this business is a commerce business and an art business, and the combination of those two. And I think, the stuff that we're trying to make is not only fun and exciting, but it's also very profitable and interesting. And a lot of the people that we're talking to that are interested in the films understand that. Yeah. And I think one of the things that, you spend years and years as a young filmmaker prepping and learning and teaching yourself the skills that you need, and you getting yourself ready to be put on that bench, and you're waiting for a coach to put you in, and really comes down to luck. And the thing that you can't prep yourself on is luck. And all you can do is make sure that you're putting yourself in the right place in order to have some sort of luck happen. It's like, if I want to get struck by lightning, then I'm going to grab like a metal fucking rod and I'm going to run out into a field somewhere. You know what I mean? Like the chances are I'll probably get struck by lightning, but you also got to be ready for it.
I think it's the right mindset where, you understand that you don't have control over everything and you can't like force things to happen, but you can increase maybe the probability of luck that comes your way just by, doing certain things, putting yourself in certain scenarios.
Sure.
I think it was on a job recently, and somebody just said it's a game of attrition, right? It was somebody talking about Harrison Ford, how when he first came out to LA to try and make it as an actor, everybody was in such a rush that he went the other way, and he like learned how to become a carpenter and just like took his time trying to like, audition and get roles when he could, but also have like a stream of income where he could survive. And he's basically been quoted as saying like he outlasted most of the people that arrived in LA around the same time. So, what's interesting to me is I've been following you for long enough where it's like you always find a way to kind of like stick it out, just like find a way to keep things moving. Because as far as I know, you've got like some management behind you, you've got some development deals you're working on. And like you said, like none of that's guaranteed. How are you sticking it out, man? Like, how are you keeping things positive, for lack of a better term,
So we were really close to having one of our pieces actually go. And to the point where I was talking to some two big production companies that were very excited. First time they were teaming up. And I was very excited because one of the production companies, the main one, had done a movie that we all know and love in the horror world that, may have starred Nicolas Cage. And so like, it was like a big company, and we worked with them for over a year. And like, it was pretty rad, like being on Zoom calls, with actors and like all these folks, and then, you know, rewrites. We did like 12 rewrites of the script and really brought it to a place where it's supposed to be. And we were just guaranteed. They kept saying to us, like, no matter what, if we can't get the studios to finance this, we can independently finance this no matter what. And I kept saying to them, like, cool, like, what should I be doing? And they were like, you got to prep, Mike, prep. So I storyboarded this whole thing, and I did like 300 pages of director's prep and put this whole thing together. And then, you know, it was right after COVID, and everybody was in like this sort of panicky mode, you know, of like, what's the state of the industry and what's the state of the economy? And, you know, these guys just dropped us. And it was just like so fucking quick. And it was over some bullshit merger thingy. And, you know, the speed at which they did it, it was devastating. And the thing that really pissed me off was that everything was so personal up to that point, and then it just dissolves.
Right.
And then once it dissolves, you know, you're scrambling to try to make it work with somebody else. Just like once you lose the momentum of something, which falls apart, then everything just sort of decimates, and you're just sort of standing there. I don't even want to make this analogy, but it's kind of like you're giving birth to a kid, and the baby's crowning and everything, and it's ready to rock, and then suddenly the doctor goes, nope, pushes it back in, and then closes the door.
Oh my God.
You know, and you're just like, what, man? And it happened so viciously and violently that I was for months in the darkest place that I've ever been, and without any sort of understanding from the folks that had done it, it was just fucking terrifying. And what I had heard from everybody is like, this is the business. And you're just like, what? And so then for me, I was thrust in such a dark place for quite some time that I literally had to get therapy. So I had to get therapy to get through the shit that I was going through with that rejection. And luckily, my girlfriend was very supportive of me. She had to put up with my dark fucking place that I was in for quite some time. And luckily, I don't drink, you know what I mean? But it was just thrust into this mode. And what took me out of it, as I built this up, what took me out of it was that between the help that I had from my girlfriend, but also my friend, one of my best friends, Lance, who's an actor, and him and I have always been working together. We've always wanted to do something together. And he would come over and he saw what a dark place I was in. And he's like, we should just do something. And I'm like, yeah. Well, yeah. And I was in the mode of like, who the fuck cares? You know, like, what am I going to do? No one gives a fuck, you know? And so then he's like, no, well, let's just do something. And we had done an episode with Judith Weston, who wrote the books, directing actors and working with actors. And those books sort of blew my mind and my buddy Lance's mind. And he's like, why don't we just experiment with this and we'll come up with something? And I said, all right. And so it took us a while, and we really sort of went through the steps that we read in these books, and we started to develop a character, and I started to develop a new language as a director, working with an actor, and I was like, okay, this is fascinating. And then I was like, well, I could do everything. I mean, that's really the only saving grace that I have as a creator, is that in this business that requires a lot of different people, I've been a cinematographer, I'm an editor, I'm a director, I'm a producer. I've worked as a sound guy. Like I could do all the tasks.
It pays to wear a lot of hats. It really does.
Yeah, at least, especially in this situation. And so then I was like, all right, let's do something. And we came up with just a scene. And I was like, well, we'll put this scene in the universe of one of my other movies, because why the fuck not? And then we'll just do the scene. And so then we shot the scene, and it was hard to get into. I mean, I fucked up the first night. But then once I figured it out, like the second night was amazing, and it was a great scene. And I started to cut the scene, and my girlfriend looked over my shoulder and she goes, "Is this it?" And I go, "Well, yeah. All we were doing was just a scene." And she's like, "You got to shoot more for this." And I was like, "Oh." And she's like, "No, you got to." And I was like, "Fuck." And so the next thing you know, I'm like booking an underwater tank, and I'm shooting in all these different places. And now the character is developing into something bigger. And now I'm shooting all this macro stuff, and then. Suddenly I have a purpose again, and I'm realizing how much I love doing this and how much I love this job. And then I cut this piece, and it's the best piece I've ever done. And it was just finished recently. We just sent it out to festivals, and it saved me from that depression. So if you're asking how the fuck I stay afloat, barely.
That's
barely, man.
Yeah, but okay. I appreciate the candor. for sure, because that's the whole point of what I'm trying to do with this is just get like a peek behind the curtain, right? Because,
Sure.
and I've said it before, and I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but you know as well as I do, it's like everybody always wants to put their best foot forward and say like, oh, look how awesome my existence is or whatever, which is total bullshit. I mean, dude, that's why I started doing this show, because I was slow. And I'm like, man, I could use some advice. Well, how about I just, start a podcast? I've always been curious about it. And it's been cool. It's been cool to just like have conversations with people I otherwise normally wouldn't be able to talk to or talk to on a regular basis. But yeah, you always feel like you're kind of hanging on by a thread, which is interesting. But I'm super excited to eventually get a chance to see whatever that piece is, because I just rewatched.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me, because I just rewatched 12KM and Who's There this morning just to kind of refresh my memory. And dude, they're so fucking good.
Dude, like I don't know if you know this, but 12KM just went viral again. So it went viral 2 days ago.
So my thing, so I want you to tell me about how it went viral 2 days ago, but I'm going to preface it by saying, I think the way you have been promoting 12KM for the last several years is absolutely hilarious to me, because it's basically like you have this thing. So for anybody listening, it's Mike's kind of, I'll call it breakout horror short. You can't view it publicly. Mike has to send you a link to view it, and you basically dangle a carrot in front of people, and then half the time people write you just the shittiest reviews and just like shit on you so hard. And then you go, check this guy out, and you post the reviews to like your social media. It's hilarious. I love it so much. I like, still to this day, I crack up when I see it. So how did it go? I saw you say online that it went viral, but I guess I missed like the how it went viral part.
So I'm only going to take partial credit for why the movie went viral initially. Like,
I mean, you did make the thing, so I guess you should take some credit for it going
sure.
viral.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, 12KM, the short film, which is 30 minutes long, was always a proof of concept.
Totally.
And I knew that in order for me to get a feature made, as a director that hadn't really made a feature yet, I needed to prove to folks what my tone is and what my vibe is.
100%.
And so that's why I made this. And so the short initially was never going to go to the public. It was just going out to studios. That's how
got it. Okay.
That's how we got Ridley Scott. That's how we got all that stuff. Right?
Cool.
So then this dude online reached out to me because he had heard me on another show. I was on Corridor Podcast, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a Corridor Podcast. And randomly, I had said it on my show a bunch of times to my listeners. And I was like, hey, look, guys, if you want to watch my short, send me your 3 favorite horror movies, and then we'll have a discussion and I'll send you the short. And I was on the Corridor Podcast, and one of the dudes really liked 12KM, and he was like, hey, man, how can our fans watch it? And jokingly, I was just like, if you send me your 3 favorite horror films, then if I like them, sure, I'll send it to you, right? And so then this guy wrote to me after that show had come out, just random dude, and he goes, here are my 3 favorite horror films. And I go, cool, man, here you go. Here's the thing. Thanks for writing. And then he made a video, this Big Vic Media. He made a video, and he geniusly in his video made the statement, is this pretentious or is this genius? I never said that shit.
Okay.
In my mind, it was like, hey, look, I just want to start a conversation with people, because as a director, I love screening for people so I can see who's in the theater. I can talk to those people after the screening. I feel a sense of connection. It's like being a cook. When you make a meal, you just don't want to put it in a fucking box and send it out with the Uber Eats. You want to have people get back to you and go, the salt was really great on this. And that makes you feel good after slaving in the fucking kitchen all day. You know,
man. Why else are you doing it? If you're doing it if you're making something to put it out into the world, it's not for you, it's for other people.
No, especially if I make movies for audiences. So like there is this level of like, I need to hear what the audience thinks. And so I know that in our fucking sea of mediocrity that is all over YouTube, if I put out a movie in Russian and I just drop it on fucking YouTube, no one's going to give a fuck. It's just going to get a couple hundred hits. The algorithm sure as shit's going to go, Mike, none of the young kids want to watch a movie in Russian about a bunch of Russian guys. So the algorithm is convinced that it's not going to do well. Well, fuck the algorithm. I proved it wrong. And so there is this sense of me just saying, just engage with me. I'm not even charging you for it. Just engage with me.
Yeah.
And so when Vic put out that piece, here's how the algorithm works on Instagram. And this answers everything. I do posts on Instagram. So you'll see me post on my page good reviews because we have thousands and thousands of good reviews. I just posted yesterday. I post a good review. The algorithm decides that only 1,000 people want to see a good review. Out of my view, I've got almost 70,000 followers at this point. It goes 1,000 people want to see this. So we're only going to show it to 1,000 people. I post one of those negative reviews. They go 35,000 people want to see this fucking thing. So that's how it works. And Vic's post went viral because he said those two lines, and there are enough keyboard warriors out there that are just like, this guy's a fucking asshole. And you're like, dude, you have no idea which. Yes, tell me what an asshole I am. And so as they go through and they comment underneath his post, what an asshole he is, it goes viral. It goes incredibly viral. Next thing you know, his first post has got 4.5 million views on it. And I'm getting all these DMs that are just downloading to me and people going, so I'm desperately trying to answer as many DMs as I can and put this thing out. Another kid catches it in India. He makes his own video and then it goes viral in India. Then someone catches it from Turkey. He makes his own video. 3 other guys make videos from Turkey. We're huge in Turkey right now. It's just like insane. And so then I talked to Vic this week and I said to him, because, you know, stuff had slowed down a little bit. Yeah. And this is insider baseball. I don't mind sharing this.
Sure.
So I talked to him last week and I said, dude, your video was, and I didn't pay him. We never talked about a conversation. He did it without me. And I said, your video went fucking crazy viral, man. I appreciate everything that you've done for this movie. Like millions of people know about 12cam just because you made this video. So I'm more than appreciative of this. And I said to him, I go, I wonder if it was just like a freak fucking thing. Like, how does it work with the algorithm? Is it just a freak thing that it was a right point of time?
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know. And I go, why don't you try reposting it again and see if it happens again? And so he posted again a couple of days and boom, right again. Fresh new post. He hasn't posted in a couple months. He posted again. The algorithm goes. So whatever his thing that he says in that video, the algorithm on Instagram goes, this is the shit. And then everybody's excited about it.
I mean, so, whatever works, dude. I mean, I'm in whatever context, you know, given everything you've already told me, it's like, I'm happy at least you're getting some traffic on it, you know?
This week's show sponsor is Cine Kit List. Cine Kit List is an online community for video production pros that provides its members with exclusive access to discounts on pro video equipment you won't find anywhere else. Cine Kit List also offers something no one else in the industry does: exclusive cart quotes for any purchase. Build your cart on Adorama's website, send it to the Cine Kit List team, and they'll quote you exclusive pricing on everything in the cart. Get access to high-end B2B pricing just like a large rental house or studio would, and the service is 100% free. Come join the vibrant community of video professionals to get access to this deal and many more by searching at Cine Kit List on Facebook and Instagram. Cine Kit List, putting the best on sets for less.
Well, dude, at the end of the day, I think people get really upset, and it blows my mind. People get really upset when they feel like they're being manipulated.
Totally.
I'm not manipulating them in any way. It's not like I'm, you know, one of the righteous gemstones where I'm bringing you in and I'm selling you shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going, hey, come on in. Tell me your 3 favorite horror movies. And then if you engage, and folks are like, do you answer to everybody? Do you respond to everybody? Most of them. If you spend the time to sit there and write out what you like about cinema and you send that to me, then fuck yeah. Like, you're a person that I want to have a conversation with. You're a person I want to show my movie to.
Yeah, totally.
If you write to me and you go, fuck you, and show me your movie, it should be free. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, like, why would I do that? You know? So, I don't know. This other guy I had a conversation with, and I like to antagonize these guys. The other guy that I had a conversation with was like, this is in cinema. He goes, you shouldn't have to do something like this to get people to watch your movie. He goes, there are good movies out there that everybody knows about and they don't have to do this stuff. And I go, oh yeah, like what? And he goes, well, I'm all excited about Oppenheimer and I'm all excited about Barbie and all this other stuff. And I go,
okay.
I go, dude, do you not realize that both those movies spend over $30 million a pop to do viral marketing?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, it's all word of mouth. I go, it's not word of mouth.
It's definitely not word of mouth.
Fake bots and
dude, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say like that what you're doing is absolutely what you should do to get eyes on your film. Like that's 100% what you should be doing. You should be authentic and you should be engaging, even if it's polarizing. Because what are you gonna do? I mean, I'm the worst offender of this stuff because I don't, I've never really spent the time to really like learn how to market certain aspects of like my business. But, it's like I'm totally the guy who'll post something and it gets no traction. And I'm like, oh, guess I'll try again. Or at least that's, what's going on in the back of my head. You're at least out there, you're digging in, you're engaging with people. And I don't know. I think that's 100% what you should be doing. You should be causing some commotion that makes a little bit of noise around your film, and you're good at it. And I would argue that you're one of the more authentic people out there, because if something pisses you off, you're just going to say, yeah, this pisses me off. If you like something, you're going to say you like something. You're very no frills. I don't know. I think you're making the right moves.
Well, thanks, man. And in a world in which, look, I'm not an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, and I try not to piss people off just for the sake of pissing people off. Like, at the end of the day, when I do this stuff, it's because I love to make these movies, and when I show this stuff to folks, like this movie was finished in 2016.
Yeah,
and so I've had years of showing this to people. I've showed this to like huge movie directors, and I've had people love this movie, and I've screened this movie in audiences, and I know people love this movie. And so I know it's great. And I'm not saying that I'm great. I know that the actors fucking killed it. I know that my production design team that made a movie about Russians in the 1980s in Boston, they crushed it. And Kruda, who's a cinematographer, crushed this movie. And so I know it's good. And so I could either just drop it like I used to when I was a younger filmmaker. I can either just drop it on YouTube and then, judge myself and be like, I guess only like 200 people like this fucking thing. Or I realize that it's all about context. And anything that you observe or watch is always set up the correct way with context. Like fucking E.T. would not be E.T. today. No. E.T. would be a movie that is dropped on some fucking Netflix queue next to some like House Flipper episode and something else that's mindless. And then in there, there'd be like this little alien thing. I mean, if it wasn't for the Reese's Pieces campaign and all the fucking advertisements that came with it and every bus billboard that showed up and just the general hype around going to see that movie, which was crafted by a marketing campaign, E.T. wouldn't be E.T. Now, E.T. is a great fucking movie.
Of course.
It's masterfully done by a masterful dude. But in our world, making something good isn't enough.
Yeah.
It isn't enough. Because especially with such a plethora and like an overabundance of content to watch right now, we're just going like, what's important to watch? And cut me off as I rant.
No,
but the thing that I found fascinating about this is that anytime I talk to studios, or if I was going in to pitch things or pitch ideas, or if I was putting together pitch decks and I would put in certain horror movies as examples in those pitch decks, and my guys would go, take that out. I go, why? And they're like, well, because it didn't make money. No one gives a fuck about that. Take that thing out. Now I have all this research and development from millions of fucking people that send me their 3 favorite horror movies. And these horror movies that are affecting our youth are movies like John Carpenter's The Thing, which was a fucking failure. That was a box office failure when that movie came out. And that is on, I would say because right now, today, I can open up my phone. I would say in 4 minutes, I get 25 DMs right now. That's the speed at which stuff's coming through.
Yeah.
And so out of those 25 DMs, I will have The Thing on maybe 11 or 12 of them. So like you're just looking at this understanding that like Hollywood really doesn't know what fucking people want. And what's interesting about this process is that people are excited to send me their 3 favorite horror movies because they want to talk about horror. They want to talk about horror in a legitimized place. They want to talk about horror with someone that they feel like knows how to make horror, knows what they're doing with horror, because they want to say as an audience member, I think that my reaction to this film is valid because of the quality of that movie. And my response to them normally is like, your reaction to that film is valid no matter what.
Yeah.
You had a really great reaction to this. And the only reason I'm starting this conversation with you is to remind you that there is a person behind how these things are made, and that these people aren't, that's what social media is here for. You can reach out to us. You can talk to us about stuff.
Yeah.
And we can become a community within this thing.
I totally jive with that. So, going back and watching the two shorts this morning and having not watched them in a while, and they're really well done. And I'm not saying that because you're here talking to me now. It's like, if I saw them on my own, it really captures like the 80s vibe of what you're going for. And every time I watch it, I'm like, this is like watching some kind of reincarnation of like Poltergeist or something,
Mm-hmm.
And it like ticks all the right boxes. And what's cool is that there are people out there that really vibe with that stuff. You've said it elsewhere before, but like, especially around the horror genre, there's a really like motivated and intense community around the horror genre. I had Zach Cooperstein on, who shot Barbarian, because I know him back from New York, and he would say the same thing. It's like there's such a motivated audience around the horror genre that it's like an interesting test case for how people really don't want to be. I think people as an audience don't want to be placated. They don't want to be like treated like sheep and just fed stuff. They want to like engage with what they're viewing. Like they want to have conversation. It's like, I talk about this with my wife. It's like, if you're watching reruns of Friends, it's like now you just have reruns of Friends wherever. But it's like when we were kids growing up and we were in school, it's like when Friends aired, everybody would talk about the Friends episode the night before or whatever. I mean, there's any number of examples. But the way the world works now, where you just have access to stuff all the time, it's like people now need a different way to engage with the stuff they want to be excited about, or they are excited about.
So years ago, when I was getting started, there was this website that started up, and it was called Suicide Girls. And so when I started as a music video director, I was constantly trying to find ways to get in with these artists, right? Like, how do I meet Rob Zombie? So as a director, I reached out to that company and I said, hey, look, here's the deal. I'd like to come and shoot 5 sets for you and shoot 5 sets for this website, but they're going to be the most expensive sets that you paid for. They're going to be the sets that look the coolest out of any of the stuff that you've done. I was like, let me do a zombie set. Let me do like a Frank Frazetta, like really cool Viking girl set. Let me do like really cool stuff. And so I started to work with these girls, and they would show up to shoots, and I'd have a grip truck, and I'd have a whole fucking team of people. And this is very different from them working with like other photographers, and oftentimes creepy photographers. And so like they would come into these things and we'd shoot like these big movies and stuff. And so I would talk to the girls all the time, and they would talk to me about the contracts that they would have to sign for this fucking website. They were ridiculous contracts about like the website owning the likeness to the tattoos and like all this stuff. And I was like, don't sign those fucking contracts. So what would normally happen is every time a girl would come shoot with us, she'd end up leaving the website afterwards because she was like, the contracts are bullshit. And I go, I wouldn't sign those. And so the company got back to us, and they were just like, hey, look, man, like, we don't want to spend this kind of money on these shoots anymore. And why are the girls leaving after they work with you? And I'm like, you guys are kind of being scumbags about what it is you're doing. And they go, and I go, but I think we can, let me finish these 5 and let me build these girls up to the pedestal. And they go, we don't want the girls on a pedestal. I go, what do you mean? And they go, it's about the fucking logo, not the girls. It's all about the logo. It's not about the people. It's not about the photographers. Not about the girls. It's about that logo. And I was like, Jesus. And that was when I stopped. I was like, I'm out of here, man. And so then that same mentality, and this is why I bring that up, years ago, that mentality is the same mentality for every one of these places that come from that website.com thing. So like at the end of the day, when you're watching something on a service, it's all about the big red letter and the dum dum, or the fucking thing, the dum dum. They don't really they're not, you don't tune into one of these things unless they get Scorsese. They're not like, here's the guy that directed this. Here's the woman that directed this. This is director forward. This is artist forward. It's always dum dum logo. And so my point in this rant is that audiences are tired of that. And so if you're able to come out and go, who is the people making this? Who are the people that I can connect with? Who are the people that I can actually talk to that are going to talk about their life experiences and how this thing came about? They just fucking gravitate towards that stuff, man.
So, what I was going to say is like, when they said, oh, it's all about the logo and how that kind of carries over to like today and what we're talking about with like studios and streamers and all that stuff. And in my mind, I just keep asking myself, I'm like, okay, fine. It's about the logo. But if there's no people, there's no emphasis on people or creators or talent or whatever behind that logo, then really you just have like a shell. Like there's no substance to it.
The only company that's doing a good job with it is A24.
Yeah.
And love it or not, with some of their films, they do a good job with it where they come out and they go, our logo represents really great artisans and really great directors and creators. And there are certain logos that exist like A24, Criterion, HBO at one point in time. And I think that was the big beef that they had where it suddenly went from being HBO Max to Max because then they were concerned that anybody that saw the HBO logo thought it was too pretentious and they were going after middle America, which wanted more house flipping / hoarder television shows.
Dude,
so
if I
you
see
can't put that on HBO Max.
If I see one more home renovation show, I'm going to lose it. One thing I always get a kick out of with you in particular, if you go and like listen to any of the In Love with the Process episodes, and ultimately when people listen to this episode, is you, and I mean this in the best way possible, is like you kind of don't give a shit what anybody else thinks. You're just like, this is what I want to do. Like even with the Suicide Girls thing where you're like, you guys are being scumbags, but let me finish these jobs for you. It's like where does that mentality come from and how you view, just putting yourself out there, I guess.
Well, let me just make sure that we're defining it correctly. It's not that I don't give a shit. And it's not like I don't, because I really do give a shit. And I do care about the people that I work with and work for. And I do care about, to a certain extent, I care about how people associate my name to things. I definitely do. But at the end of the day, ever since I was a kid, I can't stand fucking bullies. And I can't stand people that push and bully things on you and they tell you that this is how it's supposed to fucking be. Whenever you hear me go on a tirade on my show, it's because it's like you unearth it. You get to the source. You're like, why is this so fucking hard? And then you get to the source and you go, there's this fucking asshole that is pushing everybody to do this.
Yeah.
And so that's when I get mad. And I got mad. 12KM wouldn't have happened if I didn't have my accident where I cracked my skull and I had to rethink my life. That was a big part of it. But then B, if I hadn't made the Punisher short, and it was at the time period where everybody was doing fan films and Dirty Laundry had come out right when I was doing it at the same time. And I just cut a trailer and I put a trailer out and everything that I was doing was looking really great. And I think this was right around the time that Marvel was being acquired by a bigger company. And so I got a cease and desist. And I was like, why am I getting the cease and desist instead of their response was, it looks too good. It looks like a Marvel thing. And I think it was because CBR or someone had done an article and they said, this looks better than anything Marvel's ever done. And so I was like, okay, I guess you own the rights to this and there's a risk I took and okay, man. And I said to them, like, you can take it. You can do whatever you want with it. And they're like, no, we don't fucking want it. And I was just like, fuck off. And I got so mad because I had brought in so many great, talented people. And this is my fault because I brought in talented people to do someone else's intellectual property. So it's totally fine. This is why I've never released it. I understand the legalities behind it. So I took a risk and it failed. And after that, I went, well, fuck this. I'm never going to do anybody else's intellectual properties. I'm only going to do my own stuff. I'm only going to push for my own thing. So I don't think I would have done 12 Cam if I hadn't done that. And I don't think I would have had the balls to be like, I'm going to make a movie about Russians in a Russian language and do this whole thing myself because I'm financing it myself. And we had a bit of a fan base because of all the music videos, years of doing like Killswitch videos and all that. And so they supported us. And I really understood through doing music videos the power of fans and the power fans have for supporting music videos and getting the art out there. And I said, well, man, it's all about fan base. And you go and look at the history. Like Kevin Smith wouldn't be Kevin Smith without his forums and his fan base and
totally
all that stuff.
I see that with in Love with the Process. Like I see that with the podcast, which is, become an ever increasing kind of piece of your puzzle, at least as far as I can tell. You get great guests. I mean, I just listened to the Clint Howard episode.
He's awesome. Clint Howard's the man.
Dude, that was a super cool interview. And I will say that you level up the guests in terms of like notoriety or whatever, but the conversation's like the same. You're just like the same old Mike having the same conversation. And, I guess it's like you've built such like a big audience around it. And I'm just curious, being like saying you're fan focused or audience focused, like how have you gone about like building that for yourself, or do you even know? So part of me is like, I see you and you're like the artist, you have a great eye, you have talent for making stuff that resonates with people. And it's like, part of it is organic in that regard, in at least in my opinion. And then part of it is like, how to like work things behind the scenes and like make stuff happen for yourself. It's kind of that like Boston hustle. Cause I lived in Boston for a while. I understand that, that whole scene. So it's like, I just am curious as someone who is trying to grow an audience themselves. It's like, how do you just approach that? Like, how do you approach like, okay, I'm going to try and blow this up as much as I can, get as much traction as I can. Like, what's your approach to that?
It takes a fucking long time. It's a very long haul thing. And we were talking about, the only way to survive in this business is to just stay in it.
Stick it out.
It's a grind, man. And, at the end of the day, you have to be making good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I've always said this about the podcast. I've said like, I'm only going to talk about what I know on the show or what I want to learn to know, but I'm never going to suddenly become some fucking online guru that is like, I'm going to sell you the tricks on how to fucking, make it in this. No, man. It's like what I've always wanted to do with the show is share with folks what it is that I'm doing, but let's be real. What I'm doing with the show is I'm getting stuff from everybody that listens to the show. I'm getting stuff from everybody that's on the show. Like these people are influencing me. These people are inspiring me. These people are pulling me out of depression because I've been able to leverage my friendships and my honesty with sponsors. Sponsors will now pay for things because they know that I'm not selling a line of shit. And I'm honest with my sponsors. Sponsors will come. I've had people come to me and want to be sponsors on the show. I go, I don't like your product. I don't want you to be a sponsor on the show. Or they've done stuff and they've given me stupid campaigns that they want to do. And I go, the people that listen to the show don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. How about you be real? Like our best sponsor, and this isn't a plug, our best sponsor right now is Fujifilm.
Dude, I love that you're sponsored by Fujifilm. This is a Fujifilm camera. I love their shit. It's great.
Dude, what I love about Fujifilm is that I met Victor at an Adobe party, and he came up to me thinking I was somebody else. Okay. He walked up to me at a party, and he thought I was Kruda. And so he came up and he goes, hey, are you Kruda? And I go, no. And I'm that dick that's sitting in a party hanging out, having too many beers. And I go, oh, no, but I know who he is. And he goes, well, who are you? And so then I start talking to him, and him and I over beers just become buds. And we talk about people and community and all this kind of stuff. And I said, you should just come on the show. And he goes, I'll come on the show tomorrow. And I go, okay, fuck it. And he came on the show and we talked for an hour and a half. And then when we finished the show, he goes, we got to sponsor you because I really appreciate your stuff. And I knew that Fujifilm not only was trying to offload a warehouse full of cameras and stuff, but they also were giving money to filmmakers to make movies. And they were the only company in the manufacturing world that understood the power of saying, hey, look, it's more important for us to take the money and put it in the hands of creators so that they can make something than it is for us to take that money and to throw it into like an Instagram ad or some other bullshit.
Yeah, dude.
We're setting up the long haul with this.
Yeah. My friend Anna was on a few episodes ago, and she's been directing some branded stuff for Fuji, and they've been like basically giving her carte blanche to like go out and create whatever. And I just find it really cool. Like I find it really cool.
It's amazing.
Your sponsors are legit, man. I find it really cool that, you know, it's authenticity and people first. And it's like, it's just nice when everything like works out and comes together.
Well, let me sort of tie it together here so it doesn't feel like I just did an ad fucking plug. It's hard work to make friends.
Yeah.
It's a hard work, man. And I think a lot of people, especially in our current age, don't really understand how hard it is to make friends. And if you're only making friends through like these bullshit little devices, or if you're hunting for a date through some app where you're swiping, you don't have to do the hard work. It's a lot of fucking hard work when you meet someone in real life and you guys are two fucking human beings existing in the same space and trying not to smash into each other. And you go, all right, like, I'm sorry, I said a fucking shitty thing to you when we were hanging out the other night. That's my bad. Or the other way around. Someone may say something really shitty to me and I go, well, dude, why'd you say that stuff? And when you ask somebody that, they go, oh, why did I say that stuff? And this comes back to why I post bad reviews. And what's really fascinating about people that will do the sort of, you know, the fucking elevator or the helicopter view fucking like shit on you review stuff where they're just like, movie sucks. This is a piece of shit. I just write to them and I go, hey, man. And the fact that the director with a blue check mark is going, hey, man, they go, whoa. And I go, why'd you not like it? And be honest with me. Why'd you not like it? But most of the time, I'd say 98% of the time, anybody that posts something negative, I just write to them and I go, hey, man. And it's not like I'm trying to change their opinion. I want to be clear about this. You don't have to like my stuff because I'm not making my stuff for everybody, which as a product of that means that my stuff is interesting. So this has now become a social experiment. And the tool that is 12KM is now this tool for me to go, all right, how do I meet an audience? How do I truly connect with an audience? How do I understand and learn from an audience? How does that change my storytelling? I have fucking fans that have been with me since 2009, 2008. Because every once in a while, you'll see me do a post on my Instagram, which is a genuine post where I post like, I'm getting to know all the new followers. There's a bunch of new people here.
Oh, yeah.
So here are the questions. What's your dream job? Are you doing your dream job? What's going on? And then they will write to me and I read each and every one of those fucking posts when I'm like sitting on a toilet or if I have like a heartbeat somewhere to do something. And it's crazy, the shit that the fans do, like morticians and metal workers. And I love that stuff, man. That's how you build an audience. And my mode has never been, I need to build an audience to make money. My mode is always like, I need to know the people that I'm making things for.
It's very cool. Like that whole stretch was super cool to hear because all I kept thinking about, like, it's very clear that you just have like zero ego. Like you want to make good shit, but it's not about you. It's about the end product. Just in the fact, and I've seen you turn people around, like the negative reviewers into like fans. Like I've seen you turn people around just because no one else would take the time to respond in like a constructive, real way. Like, hey, just let's talk about this. And just being that like no filter, like very authentic thing is like, yeah, that's what attracts people. And when you said, I don't make my stuff for everybody, that's what makes it interesting. It's like, fuck yeah, that's totally right.
And it's not like as a younger filmmaker, I mean, I had an ego. And I'll talk about it on the show all the time. Of course, there's a whole lot of that happens. But dude, when I was on my deathbed and when I was on, 5 days in intensive care after cracking my skull, you lay there and you have nothing but time. The doctor comes in and tells you like, you probably can't go to sleep because you're not going to wake up. And so you sit there and you go like, all right, well, if I fucking drop, because the chances are pretty good that I might, if I shit the bed now, what's my life been? And so then I start to think about our business. And I start to think about everything in our life. And I go, oh, what did I do? And all these like little like flagpoles show up. And it was like, that was when I did this commercial. I did this. And I go, yeah, but what happened in between all that? And then it just occurred to me that like all those little in-between moments, all those moments that I spend with crew or with friends or with some random woman that invites me to tour a closed power plant facility because I was looking for a location for 12cam. And so she walks me through this facility and I'm walking in rooms that have dust that have been there since the 70s. And I have the first set of footprints going through these things. And like, she's telling me about her family. And I remember she brought me back into the office. She goes, I read the script. Can I give you some notes? And I was like, sure. All right, let's do it. You know, and sat down with this. And like all these little moments are the collection of my life. And they're what make it really great. And I realized that is more important than making things. Well, no. Than the final products. The final product. And so like if that's the only reason I'm making these things is for the final product, it's on this fucking device. And it's just like, oh, I liked it. It was really great. All right. Done. So then when I started to do music video, I was doing music videos for years, and my old business partner and I used to fight about this all the time. And I said to him, like, they're underpaying us, so let's take extra money, and whenever we go to a place, let's stay an extra 2 days and put the crew up for an extra 2 days, and then we're going to do bar safaris, and we're going to do stuff in that city, and we're going to experience that city. He's like, it's kind of a waste of money. I go, no, it's not. Like, it's going to cost us a couple $1,000s more. They're underpaying us anyways. Where's that money going to go? To pay for rent at my fucking house? I'm not even going to see that money. So why don't we spend that on these experiences? And thank God I did, man, because I've got these stories and these experiences that I've shared with friends that wouldn't have existed if I was just that asshole that was like, it's all about business. I gotta pocket as much of this cash as I possibly can. What would that extra $4,000 have done for me? Yeah. Nothing. I would have paid my car payment and paid my fucking rent a little bit easier. I still made those payments without that fucking money. But in the interim, I had such a great life experience that when I'm going to shit the bed and I'm looking up and I'm going, I remember that time that we were on the cliff face of Route 1 and we found that piano that someone set up and he sat down and played that piano while the sun was setting. Holy shit, that was wild, right? You wouldn't have those experiences if you didn't have that mindset. And then your life wouldn't be as good. And honestly, I probably wouldn't survive these. I probably wouldn't barely survive.
Dude,
as I said at the beginning.
I love that, man. I think because we hung out once and we had a good hang, but it's like, you know, now like so much more makes sense to me just in terms of like what keeps you going, you know, what keeps you plugging away. I mean, speaking of, you know, what's next for you? Like what's next on your plate?
So I just finished this new short, which I'll send you. Remind me when we're done. I'll send you the new short, the one I made with Lance, and it's great. It's called Come Home. I just got my first rejection on that, which was like, oh, right. That's what these feel like.
Right.
We've got a piece that's ready to go, but we're waiting for the strike to get done. I've got 2 other really cool feature ideas. And so I've been prepping that. I've been putting together lookbooks for my screenwriter, and I've been putting together lookbooks for pitches. I'm deep in Midjourney and AI for this, and I know that that's going to fucking piss some people off, but I can talk to you guys more specifically about how it's not hurting the industry that I'm using that stuff. That, and then trying to keep this podcast up and running and, you know, trying to control my cholesterol issues and barbecue addictions.
Yeah, you know, normal middle-aged stuff along with, you know, trying to build a career. I get that. I feel that. Are you still, and if we can't put this in, that's fine. But you have a development deal at Ridley Scott?
Yeah. So so 12cam is currently at Scott Free, and I can talk about this stuff. I actually have the producer of Scott Free on the podcast, and we talk about this stuff.
Oh, cool.
It's definitely there. The issue that I've been having with it is that the budget for it is a bit more than what they would normally give, studios would normally give a first-time director. So it's a great movie. It's in a good place. And then there's a piece of me as a director too, where I'm like, I'd like to do something smaller first so I don't fuck up
right.
some of these other elements. So I'm in the process of getting a smaller piece done. Who's There is also a feature that's ready to go. And then Will Simmons, who's my screenwriter, he's a great screenwriter. Him and I are writing something new, which I think will be under 2 million, which I kind of hope that one will be first.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, I'm going to, I think this is probably a good spot to wrap it up because I honestly, dude, I could sit here for another 2 hours and unpack like how you got in with scot-free and like all that stuff. But, the nice part is you have a few hundred podcast episodes where like you offer bits of knowledge here and there. So obviously I'll link to all your stuff in the show notes.
Sure.
Yeah,
there's episodes where I talk specifically about how we got in there.
Yeah.
And your questions about like, how to get agents and how to get management. We talk about all that stuff on the show.
Totally. I've listened to them. So I think that's the best place for people to find you. I'll link your Instagram too, so people can see the bad reviews. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I love the bad. Dude, I love that. I was talking to Joe Carnahan, director Joe Carnahan, who I met because of 12 Cam, and he really liked 12 Cam, and him and I had him on the podcast, a great episode. And he was just saying, he's like, brother, he's like, I love how you post your bad reviews. He's like, I would never have the balls.
See what I'm saying?
And I'm like, dude, I love it, man. I love them. They're great. It's badges of honor having negative reviews.
That's cool, man. Don't hang up, but we'll say goodbye to the podcast guests for now. So thanks
for having me on, man. And good luck with the podcast. And I think you're doing something right. So thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, there you go. That was my conversation with Mike. He keeps it real. What can I say? I'll be sure to link to as much stuff as I can in the show notes for this episode. There's a lot to check out. Be sure to follow him on social just to keep tabs on the hilarity that is reviews of 12KM, if nothing else. If you want to learn more about this show, head on over to nosetpath.com or check us out on Instagram at nosetpathpodcast. And you can find out more about me, Drew English, your host, at drewenglish.com or on Instagram at drewenglish with 2 H's at the end. Thanks again, as always, for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Later.